Have you ever wondered what the most dangerous places on Earth are? That's right. We're not talking about your mother-in-law's kitchen or the neighbor's dog. We're diving into the real hardcore stuff here, the places that make the bravest of souls quiver. Whether it's the threat of natural disasters, the perils of human conflict, or the imminent danger of environmental hazards, these places make your daily commute seem like a stroll through a daisy-filled meadow. Imagine the places where the earth rumbles beneath your feet, where a breath of air could be your last, where the wild challenges the limits of your survival instincts. From the scorching heat of the deserts, to the icy peaks of the highest mountains, these places are as awe-inspiring as they are dangerous. So are you ready for a roller coaster ride of adrenaline, suspense, and a touch of humor to lighten the mood? Dare to venture into the unknown? Buckle up as we count down from the 5th to the most dangerous place on Earth. Starting our countdown at number 5, we have the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. This is no ordinary tourist spot, folks. Nestled in northeastern Ethiopia, this place is a hotbed of extremes and a literal hotbed, with temperatures often soaring above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Here, the Earth isn't just alive, it's kicking, screaming, and basically throwing a volcanic tantrum. It's one of the few places on Earth where you can witness lava lakes and geysers of sulfuric acid. Now that's a sight to behold, but not too closely unless you've always wondered what it feels like to be a roast turkey. And speaking of roasts, the Danakil Depression is not just hot, it's one of the hottest places on Earth, often dubbed the gateway to hell. But hey, who needs a sauna when you can sweat out your sins here? But let's not forget about the toxic gases. Oh yes, this place is a cocktail of deadly fumes. We're talking carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen sulfide. Now if you're scratching your head wondering what these are, let's just say, they're not exactly the kind of gases you'd want to inhale. In fact, they're so potent that they can and have proven fatal to humans. But here's a fun fact. Despite all these hazards, the Danakil Depression is home to some of the toughest life forms on the planet. Microorganisms called extremophiles thrive here, defying all odds. And you thought your Monday mornings were tough. So, the Danakil Depression, a place where the earth belches fire and toxic gases, where the sun blazes like an unrelenting overlord, and where life somehow finds a way. It's not exactly a place you'd suggest for your next family vacation, unless you fancy a sulfuric acid facial. So if you're not a fan of extreme heat or toxic gases, you might want to cross this one off your travel bucket list. But for the thrill seekers and daredevils among you, who knows? It might just be the perfect destination. At number 4, we're heading to the aptly named Skeleton Coast in Namibia. If you're picturing a tropical paradise with palm trees gently swaying in the breeze, well, you're in for a surprise. This is not your typical beach getaway. The Skeleton Coast is a desolate landscape that stretches as far as the eye can see, with nothing but barren sand dunes and the eerie remains of shipwrecks to keep you company. It's like a desert that decided to take a beach vacation, but forgot to pack the sunshine and margaritas. Let's talk about the weather. Thick fog engulfs the coast, adding an extra layer of mystery to this already enigmatic place. It's the kind of fog that makes you feel like you've wandered onto the set of a gothic horror movie without the comfort of a director yelling "cut" when things get too spooky. And then there are the treacherous currents. The Atlantic Ocean, seemingly in a perpetual bad mood, relentlessly pounds the shoreline, making swimming about as safe as trying to pet a hungry lion. These currents have led to countless shipwrecks, earning the coast its bone-chilling name. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a paradise for shipwreck enthusiasts. And you'd be right, there's a certain romantic allure to the rusted remains of these once mighty vessels now left to the mercy of the elements. But for sailors, it's a different story. It's like being a pizza delivery guy in a neighborhood full of health nuts. So, if you're planning a trip to the Skeleton Coast, remember to pack your sense of adventure along with a healthy respect for Mother Nature's power. And maybe leave the swimsuit at home. This isn't the kind of place for building sand castles and frolicking in the waves. Who knew a beach holiday could turn into a survival challenge? Not your typical seaside retreat, is it? Coming in at number 3, we have the Death Valley in the USA. Now don't let the name fool you, it's not a valley where death comes to take a vacation. Rather, it's a place that could make even the sun break a sweat. Located in Eastern California, Death Valley holds the record for the highest temperature ever recorded on our planet. We're talking a whopping 134 degrees Fahrenheit, folks. That's hotter than a jalapeno eating contest in a sauna. In this inferno, water is as scarce as snowflakes in the Sahara. The valley receives less than 2 inches of rainfall a year. To put that in perspective, Imagine if you had to survive on the amount of water found in a couple of soda cans for an entire year. We'd all be walking around like human-sized raisins. And it's not just the heat and the lack of water that make this place a survivalist nightmare. The vast expanses of salt flats, sand dunes, and rocky mountains make it a place that's about as forgiving as a porcupine in a balloon factory. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom in Death Valley. If you're a fan of unique landscapes and extreme conditions, this might just be your cup of overboiled piping hot tea. There's a certain eerie beauty to the barren landscapes, the salt flats shimmering under the relentless sun, the sand dunes shifting and changing with the winds. But let's not forget, it's called Death Valley, not Slightly Uncomfortable Valley for a reason. This is a place where Mother Nature cranks up the thermostat and forgets to leave a glass of water. So, unless you're a cactus, or maybe a heat-loving, adventure-seeking desert champion lizard, this place might not be the top choice for your holiday destinations. But hey, at least it's a dry heat, right? So, unless you thrive in scorching temperatures with almost no water, Death Valley might not be your ideal summer getaway. Our second most dangerous destination is the infamous Darien Gap between Panama and Colombia. Now this isn't your typical Sunday afternoon hike, folks. This is the kind of place where nature says, enter at your own risk. Covering approximately 100 miles, the Darien Gap is the only break in the Pan-American Highway. It's a dense, swampy, and mountainous rainforest that's home to some of the world's most dangerous wildlife. We're talking jaguars, venomous snakes, and let's not forget the mosquitoes carrying diseases like malaria and dengue. It's like nature's version of a booby-trapped treasure chest, minus the treasure. Of course, it's not just the wildlife that makes the Darien Gap dangerous. The terrain is unforgiving, to say the least. It's a wild, tangled labyrinth of marshes, mountains, and thick forests. Navigating this place is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while juggling chainsaws. You'd probably have an easier time navigating a maze blindfolded than traversing the Darien Gap. And let's not forget the potential for human conflict. The region has a history of illegal activities from smuggling to guerrilla warfare. It's like walking into a bad neighborhood, except the bad neighborhood is 100 miles wide and filled with deadly animals. So why do people still attempt to cross it? Well, some folks are just drawn to the thrill of danger, the call of the wild, the allure of the unknown. But let's be clear, this isn't some adrenaline-fueled amusement park ride. This is the Darien Gap, where every step could be your last. To those brave or perhaps foolhardy souls contemplating a trip through the Darien Gap, I say this: pack plenty of insect repellent, watch out for the jaguars, and maybe bring a machete or two. You're going to need it. If you're an adventure seeker, you might be tempted, but remember, there's a fine line between brave and foolhardy. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The most dangerous place on Earth is Mount Everest. This icy giant isn't just a climber's dream, but also a potential nightmare. It's like Mother Nature's own roller coaster, only without the safety rails. You've got extreme weather conditions that could freeze you faster than an ice cube tray in Antarctica. Then there's the avalanche risk. One wrong step and you're snowboarding without a board. And let's not forget altitude sickness. It's like a hangover, but you didn't even get the fun of a party the night before. Yes, it's a literal peak experience that you might not live to tell. But hey, at least you'll be on top of the world, right? So there you have it, folks. Our planet's most dangerous places. Remember, adventure comes with risks. Choose your battles wisely, or rather, choose your adventures wisely.